Hey, good evening. Lacy Johnson, as promised. My guest today is Scott Goddess. Scott is the founder and owner of Solo Groceries. And if you live in North Minneapolis, as I have for the past over 30, 40 years, Solo has become an institution here. Now, before we get started, how you doing, Scott?
I'm doing okay. A little nervous.
That's okay. Nervousness is good. I used to do a lot of poetry reciting, and a little nervousness before I got it was always good. It kept me on my toes. But let me tell you a backstory to this. So, my wife loves black walnut ice cream. And she can't go buy a Baskin Robbins without asking, do they have black walnuts? And if they got it, she's going to buy it. Long story short, a friend of ours, told us that this store, Solo, where we're at right now, sold black walnut ice cream. And so, being the dutiful husband that I am, hey, I've been with her for 46 years. We've been married for over 36, so it don't last long if you're on a dutiful husband. Being the dutiful husband that I am, I stopped by Solo to get her half gallon of black walnut ice cream. It just so happened, and a lot of times you come in here, because once again, it's an institution. It was very busy that day. And I got up to the counter, and there was a couple long lines, and I'm like, I'm not standing in this line for one item. I think that's basically paraphrasing what I said. And as I was saying that, this little gentleman walks by me, and I didn't know who he was. And he just keep going, and like he didn't hear me, as a matter of fact. I go and put the ice cream back, as I should do, and I go get in my car. Me and my wife getting ready to pull off, and here's this young man come running to my car with the black walnut ice cream, and he said he heard me, and he brought it and gave it to me, didn't charge me anything, and I was just dang impressed by that. And we got into a conversation, found out he was the founder and owner, and I'm like, I have to have this gentleman on my podcast, being a great business person and a great in the customer service as he was that day and still is. So we're developing a relationship. So welcome, Scott Goddess, and Scott, welcome to the Lacy Johnson podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and that made quite an impression on me, by the way. It really did, and my wife too, by the way.
That's what we try to do. We try to impress people so they come back.
Yeah. Okay, so another connection with Solo, and for those of you who don't like pork, you can get time to get up and go get your drink out of the refrigerator or something. But we do eat bacon, and long story short, he has the best bacon in the Twin Cities. And he got some nice little, I love the ride-on kind. Yeah, nice ride-on bacon.
Very popular.
This is where I come for my bacon in the morning, and every once in a while, I'm getting old now, I have to really watch what I eat. But every once in a while, I allow myself some bacon and some French toast. And it's always your bacon, Scott. I won't go anywhere
Appreciate
else.
that.
Okay, so let's get into Scott and how we came here together today and everything, how we got to this point. Let's go back a little bit, Scott. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you were born and raised, the family you grew up in. Just give us a little background of your bio. And
So I am from St. Paul, local boy. My family grew up in St. Paul. I'm actually not the founder. My father was the founder of the company. We just hit 49 years in April. Next year will be 50. I've worked in the grocery business all my life. I started when I was 11 years old. Never done anything else, never filled out a job application. But I love it. I love serving the community. I love seeing customers smile, and when they say, wow, look at this price, or look at this item that they have, never seen this before. That's what makes me come to work every day.
I love it. Now, you're from the Twin Cities area?
Correct.
Okay, and you went to school in St. Paul.
School in St. Paul, went to the University of Minnesota.
Okay.
College.
And you studied, what were you studying in college at the time?
Marketing.
Okay. And that was able to translate into business, I'm assuming.
It was.
Now, I understand your father was a business person, and what were some of the earlier businesses that he opened that would eventually lead to you being here running solo
Sure.
grocers?
So the first store he opened in 1974 was basically just canned goods. Didn't have meat, didn't have produce, very little dairy, very little frozen. And it was a business where he bought anything in a warehouse that may have been damaged in any way, or fell off a truck, or a rail car that derailed. He would go through with a crew, clean it up, throw away the bad, sell the good for about half of what it was being sold for in the regular stores.
Okay.
And that led to a second store in South Minneapolis, and that's where we got our start in meat. That store had a full meat department just like the one here, and that was our introduction into meat, and that became what we were known for. That was in South Minneapolis, but right off the bat, probably 25% of our business came from the north side, and they would always say, when are you guys going to open up over north? And it took us 15 years to find the right building, but we finally found this building, and we've been here since 2000.
Yeah, there. For those out in our audience, North Minneapolis is kind of known as the what's the word? Riskier area of town, the hood, or whatever. And a lot of times, people try to talk you out of doing business in North Minneapolis, and it does take a special person, a special type of knowledge to do business in the inner city and in some of these rough neighborhoods.
Sure,
Yeah,
but,
right. Uh-huh.
No, I've never been scared of the area. People did warn me, but our product is wanted by people, and I just want to see people get what they want. And when we finally found this location, we drove around for a while and looked around, and I mean, it didn't seem like it was any different than any other neighborhood during the day.
Right.
And so, we thought this would be great. And, some places are bad at night, but I mean, you just gotta deal with it.
Well, every place has some bad places and some bad times and things like that. And I'm like you, once you get knowledge of the people in the community, you understand there's nothing to really be afraid of here. And I'm proud of the fact that you've come and you've been in this community for a long time as a business person. Now, one thing that's coming to my mind while I'm thinking about it, you are known for your meat department here. I think someone told me they saw where you were ranked the second best meat department in the Twin Cities. I've forgotten where I said.
I think you told me that, but I haven't seen that. But
yeah, I haven't seen it yet either. But I'm gonna verify it by the next time we talk. But what I'm getting at is, it seemed like your meat department kind of grew. Because I remember when I first came here, we used to come here for fish. I think.
Sure.
It wasn't that big, and I just saw it expanding. How do you describe the expansion, the growth of your meat department here, and the quality of what you have going here?
Well, the quality is the same as in just about every other store. We're selling choice meat. It's not bottom of the barrel meat.
Right.
And the expansion part, as people have requested more items, different items, we've just taken that and ran with it, tried to find what the customer wants, and yeah, we have added a lot more freezer doors full of stuff. We've added more fresh, not service counter meat, but wrapped product. Not everybody wants to wait in line to get the exact amount of product they want, and so we've increased this self-service portion, and we've added space to the service counter as well.
Okay. So you mentioned people don't want to stand in line and things. That's saying to me that you're getting feedback from the customers and you're listening to your customers. How does that feedback normally come? Do they normally Are you normally sitting in your office and you hear screaming out here? Are they relaying it on through your cashiers, or how do you normally get that feedback?
All of the above. When they get up front, they'll mention something to the cashier. Our crew is always in the aisles stocking all day long.
Oh yeah, that's
We're
true.
not doing night stocking.
Right.
We want to be involved with the customer during the day.
Mhm.
So they'll tell the butcher, they'll tell the stock person in the aisle, they'll tell the cashier. I'm out in the store as much as possible. I hear hundreds of things during the week. My desk is full of notes. The customer wants this, the customer wants that. Why don't you do this? So we try to listen and do as much as we can, as much as humanly possible with our capabilities, to all those requests.
Well, that you just reminded a story I told. I was a customer and I just mumbled something and you caught on to it and came out to the car, and that was one of the greatest stories I've been able to tell.
My mom used to always tell me I have big ears when I was a little kid.
Uh-huh.
So I listen really well with those ears and try to take it to heart and try to do something positive.
After this gentleman surprised me with the ice cream and everything, we did start talking. I've gotten to know him a little better over the past few weeks, and he really is dedicated to his customers, to the community, and I just been impressed with his attitude and what he's doing for this community. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges of doing business in the inner city. And I know a lot of it is no more different than challenges elsewhere, but there got to be some unique type of things that you have to deal with as a business. Because I know I've run businesses in the inner city, and there's some unique things I had to deal with. So what are some of the unique type of things that you have to keep in mind within this community versus maybe being out in Wayzata or somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, we deal with theft, which everybody does in some way, shape, or form. We might run into a little more than the normal. Finding quality workers can be challenging sometimes. Some of the young kids haven't had the best upbringing at home, and they just don't know.
Right.
And we try to bring in as many youth as we can. We offer carry-out service. We'll bag your groceries, carry it out your car. Typically that's going to be a younger person, and some of the kids just haven't been taught how to use a broom or use a dustpan or how to speak politely to a customer. And so those are a couple of the challenges.
Right.
But in general, the challenges are no different than any other business. Just might be a little different form.
Well, you give me a chance because I do get on my soapbox every once in a while, very briefly here. But I tell people, you have to learn how to work when you're a kid. I think basically, it's nothing that you get old and learn to do. It's something that's instilled in you as a value. Have you found that you didn't have to go through the supply chain issues or anything during the COVID?
Luckily, we buy from so many suppliers that COVID, the supply chain issues back then really maybe affected a couple items,
Mm-hmm.
but for the most part, we were fully stocked, especially in the meat department. We don't have just one supplier. Larger stores have one supplier.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We buy from 50 different meat suppliers. So we were all fully stocked the whole time through COVID.
Now, besides Solo Groceries, I think that's a Solo Meats. Are they one and the same?
One and the same.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep, we've kind of recently changed the second half of the name from Solo Grocery Outlet to Solo Meat Market.
Okay. And how long has Solo been in this particular location?
So we've been in this location since April of 2000.
Okay. And so that's
23 years.
So tell me some of the things that you're just really proud of both from a business standpoint or from serving the community standpoint?
Well, I'm proud of our employees. I mean, they work hard. They do what it takes to keep the shelves full, to keep the customers coming back. I'm proud that we made it through the George Floyd riots and era without a broken window. The community was in our parking lot for 8 nights in a row.
Wow.
After George Floyd was murdered, and they were overnight for 8 nights, and we did not have a scratch on the building, and that just shows that the community cares about us, which I care about them. And,
Right.
So that was huge.
That's called reaping what you sow. You reap care, you get care back. Now, I find that interesting. I spent a minute or two on that. Did someone come to you and say, hey, we're going to come protect your store? Or did it just happen serendipitously?
Well, I made a phone call to somebody in the community, and just because there was some talk on Facebook that we were going to get hit on that Friday night. And this community member said, don't worry about it. And that night, about 10 o'clock, about 35 cars rolled into the parking lot. And everybody got out and surrounded the parking lot.
Wow.
And they never left.
I would have liked to have seen that. I'd like to have been here for that. But that says a lot about you and the value of the store in this community. And once again, having been around you and seeing you relate to the people in the community and some of the leaders, I can understand why they came and protected your store. So that is all great. Anything else you want to tell us about this store that the general public doesn't know? And we, by the way, I'm going to talk about your commercial with Dancery in a little bit. But anything that you want to mention about your store that the community might not know?
I don't know anything that they don't know. I mean, we're here for the community. We just want to bring them the best meat and groceries possible at the lowest prices we can. We try hard. Like I say, we buy all over the country. If somebody doesn't have a cheap enough price, we'll try to find a cheaper price. As I mentioned, we've been here 23 years. The company's been in business 49 years. Coming up on 50 years next year. I am working on trying to put together a new store that North Minneapolis would be proud of. This building is getting a little tired, and I'd like to be able to give it a whole new look and face.
I had to leave back out, and you weren't here. You weren't here to give me a hookup that day.
I'll drop bacon off at your house.
I appreciate that. But expansion. Okay, so when we look at this community, we see Walgreens closed. We see a grocery store like Aldi's closed. How is it that they are not able to survive, but you are? And by the way, that's the second part of this question coming up related to your plans for the future. But how is it in your estimation when you see these other businesses closing and things, especially the grocery store, how is it that you're still here and looking to expand and grow and they're moving out?
Well, I think it's a matter of we're locally owned, we're here on site. Those other stores, they're bringing in managers and employees, and there's no local care. And again, the same issues that everybody has: shoplifting and rents going up, and utilities going up, and taxes going up. We have the ability to pull back, change some things, run tighter. They look at it just on the bottom line on their balance sheet and say, this location isn't even doing the same amount as this location
Right.
in another city, and we've got 2,000 other stores, so we can eliminate this one. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what area it's in to them.
Right,
They're
right.
just looking at it from a numbers standpoint,
Right.
and it makes it tough.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because you know I was in politics, and the numbers a lot of time is votes and stuff, and where I'm going to, there are people. These numbers represent people in their lives. It's
Sure.
not just some profit center
Yep.
or something like that. So I appreciate that the way your perspective is on that. Now, without revealing anything. So when I think Solo and I think Alta's gone, I'm like, that might be a great location for a new Solo store.
I considered it for a second, but it's not much bigger than this store,
Oh, okay.
and it doesn't give us the space to do some of the things that we want to do at a new store.
Okay. I understand that. Now, before we go to, you mentioned your father was the original founder and a role model for you. Why don't you tell us about that a little bit in business and as a man and how he
Sure.
conducted himself?
Yeah, my father's great. I learned a lot from him by watching. He wasn't a good verbal teacher,
Mm-hmm.
but I learned all my customer service skills from him. I mean, he was a people person. He still is. He talks more than anybody I know, more than you even.
Good.
He
I think.
he can talk for hours, and I can't.
Right.
I'm more of the doer, but he, would. Everybody loved him. Everybody still loves him. He's got a different group of guys that he goes with to lunch almost every day of the week.
Mhm.
A lot of friends, but he was great with the customers, and they loved him, and that kind of was our foundation of customer service, and that's the bagging the groceries for the customer, carrying out to their car. Our meat department is a service meat counter. It's all about taking care of the customer.
Yeah, I like that because my dad had a similar influence on me just watching him, and I'm a big proponent of fathers being in a two-parent home with the fathers
Sure.
in there. I mean, I can't imagine not having my dad there, because my mom had a good way of different way of looking at things. But tell me about, you had sisters and brothers. How many siblings did you grow up with?
So I'm the oldest of three. I've got a sister in the middle and then a younger brother.
Okay.
My mom actually passed away in December, so my dad and I are kind of even more closer now because he's looking for a place to be.
Right.
So he's pretty much over at our house every Sunday for dinner, and he actually does come into the store 3 days a week and does some different things, and so he's still around, and he's 83. Actually, he'll be 83 next month. But he's full of energy, and so it's nice to still have him.
So Scott, let's suppose we got a young person out there, let's say they're 13 or so, and they're thinking about going into the retail grocery business. Besides you not wanting the competition, imagine they're not going to be competitors. What type of advice, if any, you would have for this person? What about the challenges of running a retail grocery store and those type of things, and what you have to do to address or overcome those challenges?
Well, that's hard. I would say, like anything else, you need to work hard. You need to like people. You need to like to work. Retail is a lot of physical work, especially in the younger days or the early days of opening a business. There's so many components to keep track of. I still now can't. There's so much to keep track of. It's almost impossible
Right. Mm-hmm.
to make sure everything is done right without being here 24/7. But if you love to work, you love people, you love hands-on. The retail business is fun. It's it's can be enriching. I mean, it's something just about anybody can do. You don't have to have a master's to run a small business.
What are some of the strategies that in general people can employ, or specifically what you employ to help cut down on that? Because it can be a challenging type of thing to deal with, and I know a lot of times if you aren't careful, some of the employees are in cahoots with the people. So what are some of the strategies that
eyes open, cameras if you can.
Right.
You know, we do have a security guard in the building.
Right.
And you know, he's here to greet customers, and you know, he's watching too, but he's more here for safety purposes. If he catches shoplifters, that's part of it. But,
right.
you know, I try to guarantee that my employees and customers will be safe.
Okay. And when you think of Solo in the future, in your expansion, are there any things, features or things you think about adding, or any new products or services you think about adding when you look at Solo in the future?
Well, I think the couple of bigger ones would be, you know, right now in our facility here, it's small compared to grocery stores now. We don't have a lot of space. So a couple of things that we don't have now that we want to include would be a deli, bakery,
Okay.
you know, hot food
Yes.
type of thing.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So, based on your experience here, what are some of the more popular type of items, 3 or 4 of the most popular type of items that you sell here that the customers really like and demand, and if you get them in here, you're selling out pretty quickly?
Well, I mean, our top few items probably are chicken wings, pork ribs. We pretty much have the best fresh greens in town.
Oh yeah, okay.
We sell a ton of jumbo yams.
Oh yeah, okay. My wife is a yam lover. She prefers sweet potatoes, but she'll sell for yams.
And black walnut ice cream.
Yes. Okay. Good. So I might want to go out and visit in the store here area, and we're gonna actually go out into the store and chat a little bit, and hopefully we can find some customers or employees to talk to, and we'll wrap it up and let Scott go home and
Sounds good.
and eat dinner with his family. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with you. How you doing, young lady? What's your name? Come on up here a little closer.
You on TV, woman?
Yeah. What's your name?
Jordan.
Jordan. And what's your name?
Seaton.
Seaton? Spell that, Seaton.
S-E-E-T-A.
S-E-E-T-E? Okay, T-A. Okay, and how long have you been working here?
19 years.
19 years?
Yes.
Whoa, you must really love it.
Yes.
And does that mean that Scott is a great person to work for?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And does that mean you love the store?
I love the store.
Okay.
I love the customer.
Okay. And family? And how do you like it?
You get comfortable pretty fast.
You get comfortable pretty fast? And do you know a lot of the people that come in and out of here? Uh-oh, she got to work now. We got customers.
It's a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah, we have a lot of customers.
Okay, well, good to meet you. Keep up the good work. Big Billy, are you in the meat department? Oh, you're a carry-out guy. Okay. How long you been working here, Billy?
3 months. Not long
3
enough.
months? Okay, and how long are you going to work here, Billy? Oh, okay. What are your career goals and stuff, Billy? You got
That's a regular job.
just regular job?
Regular job.
More money, more problem. You know that song?
9 to 5.
Yeah. Okay. And just be the best you can be a good father, be a good husband. You got to find some customer. Why don't you introduce yourself and your family here?
My name is Sherwin. This is my beautiful wife Lakeisha, my grandson Demarius, active. Got to keep it fed, so we're in Solo.
Yes. And how long have you been Solo customers?
I'm originally from Chicago. When I first got here, this is one of the #1 stores that everybody talked about. I instantly got familiar with the store. It reminds me of a store that was back in Chicago. Every day that I come here, I find items that they only sell in Chicago up here.
Right. Gotcha.
It's very convenient.
What is your name? Come on, don't be
Tell
shy.
them your name.
Demarius, good to meet you, Demarius. Well, you got 11 parents here, and look, that's 90% of the joy in the world to have parents that love you and protect you and everything. So I'm always happy to meet black families. And you stay together. Me and my wife been together over 46 years. We've been married over 36, so you guys got a record to beat. I want you to beat that record and stay together. Yeah,
Yes,
That's motivation.
here's the owner, and he just cares about his customers. You can see that by the way the stores run and everything.
Well, so
So
we
that's
appreciate
good.
you very much.
Okay.